live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest edition of Lowdown Entertainment. I'm your host, Joe Adams. Alongside me here, my good buddy, my partner, Mr. Bear Slosher. How you doing tonight, Bear?
Doing great. Doing great. It's
awesome.
Not raining 2 days in a row.
It's unreal.
We're dried out.
We're drying out, but it cooled down a little bit, though.
Yeah, summer's over.
A little bit, yeah. Back to winter.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was quick.
Very weird. Before we get started here,
Yeah.
I have a little bit of news. Today marks the 15th anniversary of my father's passing. So I would like to dedicate this entire show to the memory and honor of my father. I would appreciate that.
100%, yes.
Yes. So I got to thank everybody. I put the post out on Facebook. I do that every year for my dad, and got a lot of love. It's pretty
As
cool.
you should.
Yeah.
My dad's gone 19 years, and it sucks every day.
Every day. Yeah. You never, they always say time heals all wounds, but
They lie.
they do. They do. You just, you learn to adapt and go on with their absence and make the best of it. And just, hold on to the hand of all those memories that you had and continue on your journey. That's the best you can do.
Absolutely.
So
I never met your dad, but I feel like I know your dad my whole life.
Yeah. 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 We have talked about that. You would have loved my father. My father was, probably the funniest person I've ever met in my life. He'd fire off a joke and he'd have literally 20 more in the chamber just sitting there.
Yeah.
And just ready to go at all times. And, he touched a lot of lives, and it was, during his viewing, his ceremony, just the outpouring of people was just unbelievable.
Yeah. It's
Unreal.
amazing.
I think like 500 people showed up.
You think you know all your dad's buddies
They
and or cohorts, whatever, and they just keep flooding.
They just keep flooding in.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It's hard to believe it's 15 years. A part of my life feels like it just happened yesterday. Another part feels like it was a few lifetimes ago.
Yep. Yeah.
It's really
But
tough.
It sucks every day.
So, yes, if you have a loved one, hold them tight, because you never know.
Yes,
You
sir.
never know. So with that being said, I appreciate you letting me do that. We want to say hi to Deuce Race Fan. He said, "Sup, fellas. Appreciate you tuning in, my friend."
Always tuning in. Thank you for that.
Yes. We have an interesting show tonight, bud.
We got some get well wishes too.
Please, let's do that.
We had a medical emergency Friday night at Linda's Speedway.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with racing. I talked to Tyler Bardick's father on Saturday, and I'm not going to get into too much detail, but after hot laps and the 600 mods, Tyler got out of the car and had a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the details I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I hope he's okay. From what I understand, he's doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just get well soon, bud.
Yeah.
We're all thinking
praying
about you.
Yep, we're all praying for you. Get well soon. Keep plugging.
Yeah. So, you never know.
No.
You never know.
Absolutely.
Crazy stuff. I guess, thankfully, it happened out of the car.
Uh-huh.
Not on the racetrack.
Right.
But you never know.
Another odd circumstance, too, was at Grandview Speedway Saturday night. A medical emergency prior to the races.
Yep.
Did you know Mark Garman?
I don't know him.
Okay. Mark's a very good friend of mine. We spent a lot of time together, as I would always pick him up to go to Big Diamond so he could announce. And very knowledgeable human being, too. He had a medical issue, and he was taken care of. He's fine. Everything's good. So no issues there. I said to you, the logistics of getting him down from the tower.
Yeah, it's not. They should just fly a helicopter in and hoist him out. Probably be easier.
Yeah, the Grandview Speedway tower where he hangs out, because Mark runs the in-car camera, not the in-car camera. I'm sorry, the in-car radio, directing the drivers where to go and things like that. And he's been doing it for years. And the steps to go up to the tower are not for the faint at heart. I'm going to tell you that right now. So,
And it's something to think about at every track.
it really is.
Think about the obstacles people have to go through to get
Yeah.
to the tower.
Yeah,
If you ever have to rescue somebody out of there, it's going to be tough.
it is tough.
A lot of places.
Yeah,
They're not readily accessible.
no, and it's not a straight shot up either.
Sometimes you
go
got to
up.
climb a ladder to go up. You
It's
know?
true. Yeah. It was one of the first things that we talked about when we talked about the incident. So,
Yeah.
Thank
all
God.
about safety. Man.
Thank God, both of these gentlemen are good and
Yeah.
they're on the mend, and again, continued prayers for both of these fellas.
You never know.
Speaking of safety, you had a pretty good run the other day. You did. You had a big Inferno armor sale. I'm proud of you.
I did.
Very proud of you.
They haven't received it yet because I haven't received it yet. But let's just say hats off to Lanco Speedway, Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway, for stepping up, ordering 10 extinguishers, race day fire extinguishers from Inferno Armor for all their quads and push vehicles. So they are phenomenal. All prepared.
Here's what's very unique that we discussed with Kevin Thomas Jr. just a couple weeks ago. The spray pattern on the race day fire extinguisher is specifically manufactured to just, 3 seconds from head to toe?
1.8 seconds.
Like I said, 1.8 seconds.
No sweeping.
It's just head to toe to extinguish a race car driver. So, man, that could come in handy. Hopefully,
week,
you never.
I'm going to light
you
you on fire.
That's fine.
Test this.
That's fine. Yeah,
and we'll time it.
Yeah, and you'll probably pick an empty extinguisher.
Well, you win some, you lose some, man. But no, thank you, Lanco Speedway, Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway. Man, it's just awesome. I hope every track steps up and does this.
They should.
Every corner worker, every push vehicle should have.
They should have something.
Something.
Yeah, and Inferno Armor is the product to have.
I was talking to somebody the other day at Hamlin, and they mentioned that one particular race car driver, I think it was last year, had a fire. And I'm not going to mention names or where, but it was like the Three Stooges for people scrambling, looking for an extinguisher, and then brought one that didn't work. Yeah. Meanwhile, driver is on fire.
Not cool.
Not good at all.
You have to be mindful of your surroundings. You should know where all this stuff is, because I worked on a fire crew for many years of my life at Grandview when I was much younger. And panic sets in with people when there's fire.
For sure.
You really got to keep your head. So it's a thing.
We got Anthony Schlosser. Wait, in chat.
Let's talk about him for 1 second before you go on.
That's my son.
That is your son, and you guys headed to Hamlin this weekend.
Finally knocked the nubs off the tires. He went from show car to race car, finally. And then the rain came.
The rains came all over the place.
So the car ran well.
On Saturday.
Looked good. He was excited. It was fast. Definitely got to get him settled in and hooked up a little better. But I want to say kudos to Randy Smith and the track crew at Hamlin for getting that track back together.
Phenomenal.
At that point, we were loaded up and ready to go home because we were wet and miserable and whatever. We knew the car ran. Shakedown session was over. Check the box. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks
for coming. But they scraped that track down to a raceable surface, and it was a good race. It was a good night.
Yeah.
They ran all the rest of the program and the features in about an hour's time, and it was the third rain event of the day, and it just poured for a half an hour, 40 minutes, and they did it. So awesome.
Fantastic. Gary Lurch is in the house. Gary, appreciate you tuning in. Michaela Kohler is in the house. Miss Motorsports 2025. I had a chat with her today.
I bet she ain't bragging.
It was dreadful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time we chat, it's dreadful.
I'm sure.
Kathy Marsden in the house. Appreciate you tuning in. So, yeah, it's always fun to talk to Michaela. She's a piece of work.
Mm-hmm. We got some congratulatory news here.
Ladies' night.
I'll say.
This is amazing.
Adriana Della Ponte.
Smoked them.
6:02.
God bless her.
First victory. Mm-hmm. And I'm almost sure it was her first laps ever at Big Diamond.
That part I did not know.
I don't know either. I made it up. But I think
it sounds
that's
great.
True.
Yeah.
I know that Timmy Buckwalter prepares that car and helps them out.
Mm-hmm.
And the race took forever. 30 lapper, I think.
Yeah.
And she held it, man.
Yeah.
She did it.
We're so proud of her. She's a friend of the show. We had her on for our
we had the pink chair in action.
We had that was so congratulations to her. Awesome run.
Yeah.
And
don't be hating Peyton.
Don't be hating.
Peyton Renninger got a podium. First top 3 for her.
So happy for her.
Yeah. She texted me yesterday. She said, do you mind if I do Peyton's pit stop on Thursday? Because I'm pretty banged up. I guess she got knocked around pretty good. Running up front ain't for the weak.
No, it's not.
So she got to toughen up.
Absolutely. Good for her. Happy for her and the entire family.
Happy for all of them. Michaela said, who called who?
This is true. I reached out to her first.
Scott and Sally Meckes.
Wow. Good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping in.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what we got going on the program tonight. We have two very fascinating and very interesting guests that are going to be on. One is your friend.
Again, he's not bragging.
He's not. No, he's not going to tell anybody.
No, I happen to know a couple of guys that are spotters out there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
We have Mr. Brent Wentz on. He, as Bear has just mentioned, he is a spotter. He's going to be spotting at the Indianapolis 500 this weekend, and he's going to jet set, and he is going to go spot
at Charlotte
at the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah, he's doing a double again, or hopefully, if the weather allows, and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that because he actually did the double on Sunday. He went from Indy to North Wilkesboro, spotted, and went back to Indy.
What are the logistics for just, it's got to be tough.
You got to know people with planes and or helicopters.
Something. Definitely. And our other guest is actually in-house here, in studio, Miss Elizabeth Thoma. We welcome her here. She is USOA Miss Northeast. We met her at Leo's League, and she's got a crown. She's got a sash. Did you get a crown or a sash?
I got nothing.
Same.
I got some nice cards with her stuff on.
Yes. She got some bling here. Yeah, we got some nice earrings. I like this. I like this statement right here. Be the change that you want to see in the world.
Is that our next T-shirt?
It's not a bad idea.
Could be.
You're stealing your stuff. We'll give you credit. No, but she...
we put a little crown over it.
We could.
I got ideas.
Well, you do. Michaela was kind enough to give us crowns at Leo's League, so we were princesses for a day. And I felt pretty all day wearing that.
You were.
I'm sure.
And you still are, sorry. I didn't finish my statement.
Oh, okay. You didn't. It was the power of the pause right there. Definitely the power of the pause.
Moment.
Yeah, Elizabeth has, we're going to speak to her about her platform and everything she's got going on. And because I don't know much about pageants. Do you?
Sure you don't. No, the only one I'm familiar with is Miss Motorsports, and that's really not that much.
Right. Yep. And she also has an interesting backstory. She has some drag racing in her blood. Straight line people.
Speaking of drag racing.
Yes, talk to me.
Tony Stewart.
What a guy.
On a roll.
Like a hot dog.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
And outspoken.
Did you see the interview?
Keyboard warriors. Suck it.
He dropped some science on there, man. He basically just giant middle fingered everybody that was hating.
Mike Warden, I agree, brother. Mahoning Valley Speedway got to get 2 grooves back. We got to stop the rain.
Yeah, no more rain.
Yeah.
Daniel, Pappy in the house. How y'all doing? Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you.
They did a monumental job pumping Mahoning Valley Speedway down and getting the races in Saturday because it rained literally 4 or 5 inches in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, let's just recap this here. Hamlin, where you were, had a rain event.
It went from sunny day to garbage.
Grandview ended up canceling. Lanco canceling.
Yes.
Lincoln suffered a rain delay. God, who else? We mentioned a bunch of them the other day. It just affected pretty much
everybody.
Yeah. I guess the Jersey tracks were okay.
I'm not sure.
Not sure either.
New Egypt was off, I think.
Okay.
Because Nikki was at a wedding.
That's right. It was the New Egypt. Yeah.
Nikki was at a wedding. Looked dapper in his tux, by the way.
Looked very nice. He cleans up very well.
Yeah, sure does.
He'll have a show tomorrow. His Wide Open Wednesday, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. And he's got the proper length cord, so he'll be Facebook Live, and they should be good to go.
Are we going to simulcast with him?
I don't know if we're doing all that, but that'd be neat.
Well, we probably should.
Well, we'll chat.
He's got a nice program.
They do.
He's got a really, really nice program. So
let's get Brent on the phone.
It's about that time. Yeah, he's a very busy man, so we can't hold him down.
He's probably at Long's Donuts right now. He knows all the hot spots.
Not a bad move. Donuts are good.
Somebody just said Bridgeport something or other. I lost my chat. Bridgeport raced. It was a good race. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to go silent here for a moment.
That is absolutely fine. I will continue to talk, although I am going to pull this up on my phone here. So let me turn this down before we cause havoc there, like usual. So, yeah, I tell you what, anybody that's out there listening to us right now, this rain has got to be like getting under everybody's skin like it is mine. I mean, it's insane. And it really sucks. It's terrible when it's a rain event all day long and you don't even go to the track, but it really sucks when you load up, go to the track, unload, get all ready, and it turns out to be a total mess. So it does not look good weather-wise from tomorrow on through the weekend. So hopefully things will change and we'll get some racing in, but we can't make any guarantees right now. We'll see how that goes. We have Brent on the line right now.
We do.
Hello, Brent. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. So you're like one of the busiest people on the planet right now. So we really, really appreciate your time because you got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, actually here today it's just rainy Indianapolis, so not much going on today. No on-track activity till Friday. So, yeah, we're going to have a couple days off and just enjoying some downtime before it gets all busied up again.
Yeah, good
I figured you're probably at Long's Donuts.
I had those the other day. I'll fit for a couple days. A dozen donuts goes a long way for one person.
Absolutely.
Just like a case of Zimmerman's iced tea, huh?
That's right. Yeah. I'm going to have to look for somebody to get some of that delivered before Friday. So, yeah.
There you go.
Unbelievable. So, Brent, tell us who you're actually going to be spotting for at the Indianapolis 500 this coming weekend.
Yeah, well, we, racing's an ever-evolving sport, ever-changing sport. So we tested here a few weeks back, and I was spotting for Devlin DeFrancesco in the 30 RLL car with Dogecoin, and we had a good test, and came here last week, and we had a good week with Devlin and that crew, and found some good speed. I think he starts row 6, 16th or 17th, and then Takuma Sato, our teammate, who I have a good relationship with, in this race, he qualified on the front row, and I went back to Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, in North Carolina, and I came back, got home pretty late here. Well, not home, I guess my second home.
Yeah, exactly.
But got home really late, probably went to bed at 1:30 Sunday night, and woke up to a couple text messages and emails that we were going to make a couple of spotting changes on the 75 car and kind of swap a couple people around. So I'll end up being in turn 3 with Takuma this year. It's more of a, no harm, no foul on anybody's parts, but Takuma's a very, I want to say superstitious person. He's qualified on the front row 3 times and won each time. And it was his decision to get me on that car.
That is cool.
That is dope.
It's cool to, have somebody of that caliber of a race car driver to vouch for you. Of course, you don't want to take somebody's spot or this and that, but we just kind of swap, turn 1 to turn 3 and the other guy from turn 3 to turn 1 on the 30. So, it kind of sucks, for the other guy that did all the, leading up to this week, you wish that could carry on, but it's a team decision and a business decision that, the driver made. So we'll just roll with it and go from there. It's going to be 100%, effort, whether it was one car or the other. So, we just look at it that way as a team deal. So we'll go on and we'll try to win either way.
That is awesome.
At least there's no pressure.
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. It's it's just something that he wanted to do, and I just made the change. It's racing. I mean, I always say, this shit changes every day, right? and you just got to be on top of it, and you do what your bosses and the people that employ you and pay you to do. So that's just what we're going to do.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have different terminology for each driver that you spot for, or is everything pretty much cut and dry the same throughout the entire team?
Like I've did a couple other podcasts and stuff leading up to this, and I get that question a lot. I do the same thing with all my drivers. You know, I use the same lingos. You know, obviously NASCAR, my full-time gig with Rick Ware Racing, it's, you know, the cars are different, right? Indy cars don't have quarter panels and bumpers and things like that. So that terminology goes out the window pretty quick. But, you know, the spotting aspect of it is all the same. And I just go the same route with all the drivers. And then if we need to fine tune it before races, you know, whether it's the Daytona 24 hours or heck, the Daytona 500 or the Indy 500, the drivers will let you know if they need something new or different, right? So fortunately with me, it's been, you know, the same lingos and the same things, except you get rid of bumpers and you use gearbox, or you get rid of quarter panels and you use, you know, side pods, or, you know,
right.
But, you know, a quarter of a car is a quarter of a car. You know, if you're inside quarter, it's still, you know, the same terminology. So not much changes. Takuma, you know, everybody's like, oh, he's Japanese, but he's very fluent in English. It's not, you know, it's not that type of deal. So no, we just kind of go on as business as usual. And then if we need to fine tune it, the driver will let you know. You know, you never want to go seek out the driver after every practice and ask if everything was okay, right?
Right.
So, you know, no news is good news for me.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know a lot of these guys after practice, they got to go find the driver after every practice to make sure that, I'm like,
Jesus.
if that guy has a problem,
He's going to let you know.
He'll let us know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how many spotters typically does an IndyCar team have on race day?
Well, they have, just for the Indy 500, use two, obviously, because the track's, you know, over 2.5 miles
massive.
long. So you split the track at Indy, but everywhere else, you know, IndyCar doesn't mandate a spotter at road and street courses. So it's kind of weird, but
NASCAR, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in NASCAR, we use an overabundance of spotters at road street courses because we want to cover the whole track. IndyCar doesn't mandate one at road street courses. So either the teams will have one at like pit entry and the first corner for restarts and pit exit and turn one, or they don't have any at all at road courses, street courses. So yeah, there's some IndyCar teams that don't even use spotters at those races, but they are mandated at ovals. So, but you know, they always have one guy hired for sure. And then for the Indy 500, they seek out a lot of short track racers, you know, NASCAR second and third spotters. So, you know, most of those guys are over in turn 3 where I'm at now. You know, it's all basically NASCAR guys over there. So, when I went over there Monday morning, felt a little bit like I was at home again.
Yeah. That's
because, well, I mean, I know everybody in 1 and 2, but you know, turn 2 is more of the contract labor guys that just come in for the 500. So,
So we just had some news here. I think it was earlier today that they sold out. So is there, obviously there's always a buzz. It's the Indianapolis 500 for God's sakes, but does the place feel different to you, or is it just business as usual for you?
Well, considering my first year, 2020, there was nobody here.
How about that?
It was like a 500-mile test session. It felt like, you know, there's no crowd, no nothing. And in 2021, you got a little bit more of a crowd. So every year I've come here, the crowd's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and like you can feel the crowd like under your feet, you know, like you can feel it through your body, you can feel it through your headset, like when there's action happening or passes happening, and it's just electric. There's really nothing like it. You know, people ask Daytona 500 or Indy 500, like what's the what's your favorite or what's better? You know, I feel like a stock car guy, you always go Daytona 500 because that's just, you know, your biggest race and your kickoff of your season and everything else. But the atmosphere and race of the Indy 500, I think, is probably way above the Daytona 500.
Wow.
It's probably the biggest race. I feel like it's probably the biggest race in the world, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Daytona, Monaco Grand Prix, you know, Indy 500, they all rank up there big, but
Right.
there's a lot of freaking people here. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a lot. And honestly, this is the 109th running of this event. I mean, this has been around for a minute. It's amazing.
What I've found out through the years of, you know, the first year I came here, I was kind of dumbfounded and not like, you know, it's Indy 500, but you don't know the backstory. You don't know the history. You don't know the reason why people come to the Indy 500. It is generations and it's like it just spans generations. Like if your grandfather went, your nieces and nephews, your cousins, your aunt, your uncles,
you betcha,
they all go.
Yep.
It's like a birthday party. Like you celebrate it every year, right? And that's why there's so many people here, because it just spans. You see people in the grandstands, and it's families. It's grandpa, it's son, it's daughter, it's grandchildren. And that's what fills the grandstands here. It's just it's a huge event for the area, and it's just a huge event for the world. But
yeah,
I think most of the people here, it's just year after year, you know, it's generations of people just coming to the race and having a good time and a party. It's on their calendar every year, right?
Yeah, that is so cool. And I'm sure the entire city is just a buzz.
Sure.
Yeah.
And while the racing is going on, there's a party called the Snake Pit with 20,000 people.
Wow.
That you can hear over the cars. And this year, Rob Gronkowski's the host of it.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Gronk's no joke.
Yeah. It's like before we have to get there really early in the morning to beat the traffic, because the traffic,
if you're not in line by 6:30, you're done.
Right. So what I do is we get there early and we'll grab the one of the golf carts that we take to each corner, and we'll drive down to the Snake Pit and, you know, check things out. There's always some things to see, you know, some good things, some bad things, but it's
stop by Monday morning, see what's left.
Yeah. So it's we just drive down there, make a couple laps through there, and see if we can't find anything to put in our brain for the day. And it's just, you know, something to, you know, you just go down there and just check it out. But I mean, man, it's a party for sure.
Insane.
But this year, well, Sunday is going to be, somebody told me today, it's racers and pacers, because the Pacers are back in Indy Sunday night for the NBA finals. So like you got Indy 500 going on, and you got the, you know, NBA playoffs going on in the same town. So it's going to be a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, that's a lot going on there.
Brent, I got a question for you. I know you won the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500, but do you have any Rolex 24 championships?
No, we're still working on it. I'm in my, fourth year of doing a Rolex. I thought this year, you know, last year we finished podium with Wayne Taylor Racing. That was pretty good. We finished third. This year I thought we had the best car and just got caught up in a restart mess and got destroyed. So I was back home in Charlotte before that race was even over. So that wasn't very good. But, you know, my dad always told me, you know, you align yourself with good people, good things will happen. Right. So
absolutely.
It's kind of what I try to do in my career now that I'm like 26 years into it, is, you know, just don't take whatever jobs, right? Like get aligned with the right people, which the Rolex 24 hours with Wayne Taylor, you know, there's one of the best, if not, you know, the best, and a Penske in that IMSA series. So, you know, you just bide your time and do a good job, and, you know, they'll obviously like I'm signed up already for next year, you know, and if you do a good job and those keep bringing you back, and eventually, you know, all things will come together and you'll eventually win. You know, it's just, you just got to keep on doing a good job. And, you know, that race is awesome because of the diversity and of the, you know, versatility of the drivers that are on your team. You know, you have 4 drivers.
Yeah.
So that's what you were talking about before, is like lingos and things like that. A lot of these European drivers don't use spotters. So, you know, they're all fluent in English and they all know what everything means. But, you know, now you got 4 of them. We had that Kamui Kobayashi, who is a F1 driver and IMSA driver, and that guy stunk up the show when he was in the car, like straight to the front, you know, and like you know, those cars, the GTPs that we spot, are the fastest cars out of the 3. You know, you got 3 classes of cars, and you're just really spotting way ahead of those guys. You know, like 20 cars ahead of those guys at all time, because you're catching them at such a great pace that you pass guys so fast. You don't even clear them; they're just going so fast. You go by them and you just go by them because you're just going so fast. But you just got to watch way ahead of those guys, because you got the different class cars, GT and LMP2. You know, the GTs are just regular Porsches and Mercedes and things like that. So you just, before you know it, you blew their decals off. So you don't even worry about those cars too much, except if they're in a pack where you need to let them know that they need to maneuver around them pretty quick when they get there. But another awesome race that I never thought I would do, but we're still trying to win that one. And I think if, you know, we win that one, I might just move back to Lehigh and start working at the body shop or something else to do.
Not a boy. Back to Mahoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the old Wentz 72 out.
Yeah.
You talked about something there. You touched upon it there, and that was the question I had that was ready to fire out of my mouth. You know, with these GTP cars and everything, because of the speed difference, you as a spotter, because you're like the coach, man, you're the eyes in the sky. How do you determine, you know, the closing rate? It's because it can happen like in a split second.
Yeah, I mean, you're there for the Daytona 24 hours for 2 weeks, kind of just like you are for the Indy 500, and you know who the slugs are, and you know who can keep pace, right? So, I mean, you know in your mind what cars that you're gonna catch faster than the others, but you just try to give them, you know, gaps and things like that. You know, if there's a cluster of GT cars ahead, you just let them know that they're ahead around the corner or something, so they can set up their pass, or, you know, drag brake, you know, like into the bus stop at Daytona down the back straightaway. You know, sometimes if you catch a cluster of 6 of them, it's better to just back your corner up and then get them on exit rather than drive up their butt into the bus stop and slow yourself down.
They're racing for position, you know?
Yeah. So it's easier. There's maneuvers and ways to do things that those guys are professionals and they know how to do it. But,
experience.
You know, like you get, you know, the Taylor boys, or like last year we had, Jensen Button was one of my drivers. You know, that's an F1 champion, right? Like who would ever thought, you know, you'd be chatting with one of those guys over the radio in Daytona Beach, Florida, let alone just at all, you know. So, you know, but you know, those guys are the best in the world, and you know, they know what they're doing, and they make mistakes too, right? So it's, you know, I look at it as, you know, when I was younger in the sport, you'd get a little starstruck, but once you're in this sport for a long time, they're just normal people, right? They
Absolutely.
put their shoes on just like you do. I don't, you know, baby them, you know, you just gotta, and they shouldn't do the same with you. You just treat them like, you know, a normal person, and that's most of them do. So, but it's cool to, you know, add those guys to the resume and say that you work with, you know, such and such. And so,
hey, there's a reason TAKUMA SATO wanted you.
Exactly.
You know, so they're adding you to their resume as well.
Exactly.
It goes both ways, man.
Yeah. So it's, you know, we're a long ways from, Mahoning Valley Speedway, but
Stop it.
it's I would go to Mahoning Valley every Saturday night if I could.
Sure.
Mhm.
That's just the way we were brought up. It's just, you never forget your roots.
Yeah.
You act normal. You're not an uppity up person. You just treat people like they treat you. And,
I love that.
just like this
what you
this
gotta
show.
do.
I mean, you guys are just, you're the same as me. You're just, in Lehigh, Carbon County, and you're racers, and you go to the races, and that's just what you like to do. And I still, that's all I like to do. I just like to go to the races. I just do it in a different capacity.
We're just a little bit ahead of you tonight, though. We're a little bit above you because we actually have a pageant queen sitting next to us here waiting to go on after you, and you probably do not, I'm guessing. So that's why we're maybe just a half a step up.
Is it a Kohler?
It's not a cooler.
No, believe it or not, it's not
really
a
a live person.
Yeah, it's really a live person. Yes.
I got you.
Yeah, we have Miss Elizabeth Thoma. She's going to join us here when we wrap up with you.
Yeah.
So
you guys are doing better than me.
See,
Brent, me in a hotel room. So
yep, Brent. I do have a question for you from our live chat, and it is from Deuce Race Fan, and he said, "What division is his favorite?"
Oh, well, I'm a modified guy at heart. I know North Wilkesboro didn't put on a very good
Oof, that was rough
for the NASCAR modified tour, but I'm always a modified guy. But with that being said, like, put the modifieds to the side, because that's just the normal answer I would give. But
right,
I like sprint cars, right? Like,
yeah.
I've become really good friends with Brian Brown throughout the years, and
that's awesome.
I just go, if I'm in Iowa, I go to Knoxville with those guys, and if they're around, last weekend they were in Lakeside, Kansas, and I just missed them by a day. But I would go to Kansas or wherever those guys are, and obviously my cousin Joe Mooney is a crew chief for Anthony Macri, so I got a couple ties into the sprint car world, and I just think those guys have gigantic balls.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I just think when I see them rip down into the turn one at Knoxville and put their left front on that lip and just go, I'm like, I just want to be them for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I want to have that mentality. I want to have that, confidence. I want to have that right foot down on the gas, and I just want to do that once with their mentality, not mine. I'd end up in the ambulance
out at the Dingus Lounge.
Yeah. But I think sprint cars definitely is one of my favorite things to go watch. And the USAC stuff around here, I just think that's, those guys are ripping them. It's cool. Every lap's different, right? In dirt track racing, whether it's dirt modifieds, the Big Diamond or Grandview or whatever, like, the track changes every lap, right?
Yes, it does.
So those guys gotta be on top of it every lap. It's not an asphalt track where it's just, you just rip around wherever you can go. These guys gotta find the moisture, gotta find, it's cool to watch if you watch it in that capacity and not just watching them go around in circles. So.
Right.
Well, you mentioned Grandview and dirt track racing and sprint cars. High Limit happens to be in town
tonight.
Yeah, so they are on. Show probably starts around 7 or 7:30 this evening. So and that's going to be a great show.
Hey, Brent.
Yeah, I missed it by a day last week at Kokomo. They were here.
So, that was a good show.
Missing everything by a day.
Brent, we got to let you go soon, but I got a couple questions. I don't know how chat's going, but I got a question. Can you tell us what the logistics are like to get from Indy to Charlotte? And I know you did it Sunday and back to Indy, but on race day, everything's got to go right.
Oh yeah. It's got to be a perfect storm for me. I was able to go back to Wilkesboro via commercial because we had, obviously had time to commercial fly. And, but Sunday I have a seat on the Hendrick plane, not Kyle's plane, but the PR /marketing / extra workers for Hendrick that'll be at the race. They have I think they have 3 planes. So first things first, it's got to not rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Second, Kyle Larson has to run all the laps.
Yeah.
And then we can go to Charlotte. With those things having to work out, we can go. If Kyle needs to leave at any part of the race because of anything, I call it try again next year, because that's my only way to get back. And if they have a bad day and they have issues, they can't wait around. They got to leave.
Right.
So, trying to work now, having a backup plan, maybe with, Bobby Labonte. He did an auction for people to do the double, people paid, at this charity auction. So he'll have a plane here, whether there's a seat on there or not. That might be a backup plan just in case Kyle has a rough day, which he's had a rough couple weeks here. So hopefully he's got that all out of the way.
So does Rick Ware have a backup plan in case you don't make it?
Yes. Yeah. This year, last year was kind of by the hip. This year I've got it. This year I've got it pretty well detailed to the point where if I don't make it back, we have Chris Osborne who spots for. He's a very, he's a veteran spotter. He does our second car, which Corey LaJoy and Harrison Burton drove last week at Wilkesboro. So we have a second guy that second. We're only running 1 car at Charlotte, so he's going to be there to take the reins for practice and qualifying. And then Rick Corelli is doing my Xfinity car, the High Plains Drifter. Yeah, he's gonna be spotting my Xfinity car Saturday in Charlotte. And then Crazy Chris, he'll be on standby, and if things don't go our way, they've got a good guy there. So all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Right,
so we're ready to rip.
Man, that's pretty cool. Well, I tell you what, you got like one of the coolest jobs ever, man. Seriously, I'm a little jelly of you right now, but
No. Well, I mean, I always was a car guy, always hands on, building and maintaining cars, being a mechanic. I was over the wall. I was a car chief, and things get repetitive, right? Like, people would ask you if you get sick of travel and you get sick of what you're doing, and you just have the blinders on and say no, and then one day it's yes. It's getting a little bit old. It's getting a little repetitive, right? So you have to, COVID was a bad thing for the world, but in some situations like mine, it was an eye opener. It was a chance to, go a different path in racing and find something, within racing that you could do and not be gone Monday through Sunday, which I can't say that I've been gone for 2 weeks, but
you're locked in.
Not every week, you know what I mean? Like I get to spend time with my family during the week now, Monday through Tuesday. I don't have to go to shop and work. I don't have to babysit people. I don't have to, so I found a good niche here doing what I'm doing, and I'm for sure enjoying the heck out of it, and hopefully we can continue on for years to come.
That is so awesome.
Well, keep that streak alive with Takuma.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Tell our good buddy Kyle Lick we said hello. He's out there with Marco.
He's out there. He's been ripping around on his one wheel.
Oh, yeah. His wheelie. Yeah.
I told him, I said, you hit a wrong sidewalk, an uneven sidewalk, you're going to be in the hospital. But he rips.
He goes off road.
I would be in the hospital. So.
Yeah. He's very well versed on that thing. Yeah, he's an awesome dude too. Yeah. Well, listen, Brent, we hate to wrap up here, but unfortunately, we know you're really busy. Even though you're kind of chilling today, we'll let you relax here a little bit. We wish you all the success in the world this weekend here at both venues for the 500 and the 600. And we can't thank you enough for joining us this evening because, like I said, I know you're super busy, and we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Good to hear some local voices, and you guys have a good night, and thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tagging IMS with our sticker.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, that's holla.
All right, buddy. We'll catch you later.
Thanks, my man.
Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. He's got like the coolest job in the world.
It's pretty cool.
It's not too shabby.
It's pretty neat.
It's not too shabby.
He does some cool stuff. He's met a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
He works with some cool people.
I love the fact that he likes sprint cars.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of sprint cars, our good buddy Deuce Race Fan has Rico Abreu, Macri, and Rutzel as fastest right now.
Abreu, Macri, and Reitzel?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Well, Rico's been on a tear.
Rico's good right now.
Rico's been on
It's
a
really
tear.
good.
And Peck's been fast, too.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Peck's been good.
Peck was really good. Rico did something here. It was, what was it, 2 weeks ago? He got up against, and it happens in racing. And what I really appreciated about Rico was he went on to win the race. He felt horrible about the contact, and he owned his mistake, and he talked about it. He didn't over elaborate and over celebrate in victory lane, and it just
because nobody wants to win that way.
No, and it's refreshing to see that because it just makes him human, and it makes him even more lovable.
Right
at the end of the day. So I think that's
just
pretty
like
cool.
you, buddy.
Aw, hugs. Love you, mean it.
Stop it.
So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a brief break because we are going to get Elizabeth on and get her mic'd up. Is our headset going to crush her crown? Should be fine.
Know.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll see. She's fine. Yeah, she's fine. Yeah, so hang on tight for some more Lowdown Entertainment. We'll be right back momentarily. And we are back with some more Lowdown Entertainment. Joining us now, Miss US OA, Miss Northeast.
Hi.
Elizabeth Thoma.
How are you?
It's so good to see you again. We had the pleasure of meeting you at Leo's League
Yes.
just a couple weeks ago, and you and I had a nice long chat.
We did.
You have an awesome platform that you're working with here. So first and foremost, what is USA, which is United States of America, obviously? What is Miss Northeast? How do we determine the regions?
So it's United States of America's pageant system.
Okay.
And I was first runner-up, which was at our state pageant in Pennsylvania.
Okay. And where's that held?
That was held in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It was at one of the colleges, I believe, and that was last November.
Mm-hmm.
So now from that competition, because I didn't win the title of USOA Miss Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go at large, which means I had to take a title and pay for the title instead of winning the title.
Uh-huh. But this way, it gives you an opportunity to get out and get your platform and discuss your platform. Because
that was one of the reasons why I did it, because I worked so hard at states to develop what I've developed.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured it was either wait a year and redo states or just kind of go for it. And one of my big things that I've been trying to do is not let fear hold me back.
Good for you.
Nice.
Fear holds a lot of people back for a lot of different things and a lot of different reasons. So good for you for stepping over that.
Yeah. So I decided to go to nationals. It's been a whirlwind experience.
Mm-hmm.
So the Ms. title is a division, which is 29 and up. And it is based on your marital status. And if you've had kids before, there are several different divisions with USOA. There's a teen, a miss, a missus, and a ms. So depending on your age, your marital status, if you've had children, it will often just vary. So basically, if you are thinking about competing, you'll want to go to our website, which is www.usowamisspennsylvania.com. www.unitedstatesofamericasppageants.com. It will have each category of the divisions there. You can see what the requirements are, and you can go ahead and sign up and come join us.
That is awesome. So that means that you are married and you do have a child since you had
So the Ms. division is if you have previously been married. So the Mrs. is if you are currently married.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I was previously married.
Everybody gets a shot then.
Everybody gets a shot.
Nobody's excluded.
No, and it is, they were talking about diversity in the racing industry. The pageant industry is very diverse as well. USOA, like I said, we have teens. We have Miss, which is 18 and up. We have the Misses, which are married, and that can be 18 and up as well. You can be a Ms., which if you've been married before, if you've had kids or not had kids, it's very diverse. If you go onto our website, like I suggested, you will see all of the contestants and delegates that are on there. You will see how diverse we are. There's so many different women. None of us look the same. None of us sound the same. We all have different platforms. We all have different causes that we feel passionate about. And it's just really great experience. It's a very amazing, they promote sisterhood. So we are all supporting each other. We're all
girl power.
Yeah. Well, that was what drew me to Miss Martorama.
Is that right?
I said, you know, there is another pageant girl here. We have to go say hi. And I got to meet her and Mrs. Mahoning.
Miss Mahoney.
So
Zoe.
that was really awesome. Her platform was mental health as well. So that's
I did not know that.
Yeah. So my platform's mental health. And it's called Mind Over Matters, Inc. So mine...
Mom.
Yes, Mom. And you were talking about your dad, and mine was based off of my experience with my mother, who passed from suicide back in 2019.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's okay. And so, you know, I knew that I just wanted to go talk to the fellow girls and kind of get their take on the pageant industry, give them my take on the pageant industry. We talked to some cars, which was great. And it was just a really fun day.
So this has been fun. As far as the pageants go and everything, I'm not trying to get any dirt up on anything. Is it, is everybody,
we get dirty.
is everybody, you know, cause I know from experience from being around the motorsports aspect of it, our Miss Motorsports pageant, which is a very popular thing in January every year. The girls seem to have a lot of, they just enjoy each other. At least that's the way it seems. There's a lot of camaraderie and everything like that. Is it that way in your pageant world?
Oh, yes. That is one of the things they actually strive for is sisterhood. All of the girls in our group chat, all of the contestants were just top notch, supporting each other. Like every single day, somebody's saying like, what they're doing and like asking questions and just trying to help each other. Matter of fact, one of the contestants that is competing in the competition is my very best friend of 14 years.
Oh, wow.
Heather Davenport. She's Ms. Pennsylvania.
Oh, we met her. Yes, that's Heather. Yes.
Yeah, so I was there helping her with her platform, We Are Strong, which focuses on domestic violence. And that kind of goes hand in hand with mental health awareness, self-love, suicide prevention, and loss survivor support. So, you know, a lot of domestic violence, I'll say survivors, not victims, can develop mental illnesses, or they are, you know, in a state where they already have a mental illness, so they accept that behavior.
And that covers PTSD. Just trauma bonds that they had before.
Yes, correct. And that's where the self-love comes into play. You know, one of the things that I have strived for with my platform is to promote self-love and just learning how to kind of take value of what you're accepting in life. That's number one, and what you want to strive to change in your life.
I think this is kind of a layman's question, but this is all new to me. What is the difference between self-love and just being an egotistical maniac? Is there a fine line, or is there no line?
I do think there is a fine line between self-love and being an egomaniac. I just think self-love is something that you just have to, you really have to work at it.
You have to love yourself in your own skin.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes. It's not something that comes easy. That's number one. Neither is mental health. One thing that I found personally in myself is, depending on your economic situation or how you grew up, I grew up, moving around a lot. I, have a history of trying to accept my culture as a Romani gypsy, and a lot of the things I did through my journey of just evaluating myself was trying to accept the things that I can't change and change the things I can. So,
Yes.
you know, I think where an egomaniac just doesn't care at all.
Okay.
With self-love, you love yourself and you love others as you want to be loved.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's mental health is not the easiest subject to talk
No,
about,
it
because
is
a lot
very
of people
heavy.
just, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody at some point in their life, whether it's a long period of time or a short period of time, struggle. And,
Yes.
but you know, nobody, it almost seems
does
like a
not
taboo.
discriminate.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It does not discriminate. It almost seems like a very taboo subject.
It
Do you
is
find it
still.
hard to get your message out? Are you is it you're very well received, or do you just have a way of talking to people and they just kind of open up and everything's fine then?
I think a little bit of both. I think so far I've just been very privileged with everyone that I have met, and hopefully will meet in the future with my platform. That's one of my goals, is to start like events where we can gather together and talk about our struggles together. We can have some professionals there to give advice. We can direct people towards resources such as NAMI, which is the National Organization for Mental Illness.
Okay.
We can direct them towards the AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There's tons of resources online. That's how I got started, was with education. And that's what I want to do, to empower the public and get them the resources. Because yes, we all have Google and whatnot, but sometimes it just takes that personal face-to-face.
Do you need to? The people just need to talk things out. Is
I think
that
so.
the best thing to do?
I think so. I think number one, I want to empower people to not suffer in silence. And then I want to inspire them to go look for the resources, go look for the help, go look for the treatments. There are so many various areas of treatments out there. You can do holistic, you can do medicines, you can do all these different therapies, not just, you know, with a psychiatrist online.
Here's my thing. I'm not a big pill person. Okay.
Yes,
So,
I know we talked about that.
Yeah. So what do the people do? Because this is what every doctor, I don't care if you go in for a runny
Yes.
nose, or you got a blown out back, or you have a mental illness that needs to be addressed. The first thing a doctor wants to do is prescribe what I call poison, which is pills. And it literally is poison. It's chemicals. And at some point in time, you know, if you're ingesting these things every day, something's got to give somewhere.
Yes, I agree. I feel like any medication that you take, they're all going to have side effects, right? If you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, all of those medicines are there for a reason. God created the plants and the way to create the medicines from those natural resources. Are there holistic remedies? Sure. You got to find what works best for you. I tried the holistic route myself for anxiety and depression. It was something that worked for most of the time. I think the break when my mom passed away and I really got diagnosed with anxiety and depression is when it was really hard. I was going through a period of about 3 years from a motor accident.
Oh my.
I had a broken tibia fibula reconstructive surgery on my ankle, and I was on crutches for 6 months with 2 kids under the age of 2.
You were beat up mentally,
I was
beat up physically.
physically.
Yeah. So you were getting it from.
And I was
from all
raising
ends.
2 little kids. Hi to my now 21 and 18-year-old Lillian and Brian.
Wow.
I was raising 2 kids, and I was on crutches for 6 months. And yeah, it takes a toll on you because you can't do the things that you used to do.
Yeah.
Number one. And I was stuck in the house. It was the middle of winter because it happened in December.
Ugh.
And like I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. I had to have surgeries. I had to take care of the kids because at the time the person that I was married to worked full time, and and
So all that the
they're
raising the
working during
children
the
burden all
day.
come down to
Yeah,
you.
they're working during the day, and I'm working at home.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. It was quite a lot that I went through, and the postpartum depression, which not a lot of people talk about, that a woman specifically goes through.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something I want to address as well.
Is that from the hormonal flush after giving a child? Is that what this all comes back to?
Correct.
Because
Yes.
the female body goes through just a host.
It's like a battlefield.
A host of,
and then,
of hormonal changes.
Nobody realizes this small fact. I don't even know if it's true or not, but someone told me this through my cosmetology school, that your hormones go through a change every 7 years.
I heard that about the human body. Like
Yes.
every 7 years, your body kind of
so even as
redoes
you
itself.
age, your hormones change. So when you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, things are not the way they used to be,
it's
right?
always everything's evolving. So you're constantly
Yes.
chasing it.
Generation.
You're constantly changing. So it's definitely something that, you have to get used to. It's definitely something that you have to grow through and work through. And that's what the professionals are there for. They're there to talk through those things. And if medication is something that is going to work for you, which is now currently working for me, both with my physical disability and my mental disability, I'll call it. It's working for me. So I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy that it's working. And then just working on myself helped a lot too.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that Mother Earth provides everything for us that we need to heal up.
And
So
I think
that would be the way I would definitely chug down that road.
Like I said, everyone just has to find what works best for them. I think.
I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Sure.
And if you don't want to chat about it, suicide.
Yeah. It's not a good topic, but we have to talk about it.
You got to talk about it, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
What is the biggest, in my opinion, I have never gone through it. So this is my take on it, and you can tell me yours. There's no closure. There's probably a lot of questions.
Yes.
Is that the biggest thing?
Yes. That was one of the very first things that happened with me. Was I was trying to understand what happened.
Yeah.
What happened to her mental state? What happened to, what did I do wrong? There was a lot of guilt. What could I have changed? So that's really what catapulted the look into how to understand things. And so it started my self-love journey. And then through that self-love journey, I found therapies. So like at the time there was Penn Foundation and BetterHelp, which is an online resource for therapy. Now there's so many different online resources. I mean, you can scroll Facebook, you can scroll Google, and you can find so many things that are online if you're a little bit hesitant to talk to a person, because there is a difference. I tried the in-person route and I felt it was just a little too in my face. I don't know how to, it's a little too in my face. And so with the online version, it was a little bit like, okay, I kind of have like this little bit of safety net to talk about what I want to talk about. And I don't have to be feeling like I'm judged as much. Because I do feel like that's the biggest battle with mental health is yourself, right? You have to get over feeling judged. You have to get over feeling like it's a burden to talk about it. You have to get over, and I say get over because only you as yourself can change what's going to happen. Nobody else is going to do that.
You're steering the ship.
You are steering the ship. You are the captain of your ship. And somebody could give you all the resources in the world. It's not going to work unless you do it, unless you do the change. Yeah. You have to work at it. It's not easy.
Do you think as a nation, do you think our mental health is worse today than it was many years ago? Or do you think it appears to be worse because we're now talking about it a little bit more? Maybe some more people are just getting out in the open. Maybe years ago it was taboo to talk about, and no matter how much you were suffering in silence, you just didn't say anything.
Well, yes, definitely. I think the talking about it has definitely improved, because back in the day, and I say that like an old lady, I am 45 now.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a tip. Yeah.
But yeah, back in the day, and depending how you live culturally,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cultures out there that do not believe in therapy and talking to a psychiatrist and talking about your feelings and talking to somebody. They, especially for men, you guys know the biggest stigmatism with men is, shove it down and don't communicate.
No talking.
Yep.
No talking allowed.
Nothing to say here.
We need to stop that. We need to break that for sure. And one of the things that I want to accomplish with USOA is, especially the mental health of pageantry. We've all seen in the news, some of the pressures that can happen. You were talking about that with, different things. A lot of it is good, and there's also negative. I'm sure there's pressures in racing. So you have to be able to balance both, right? And one of the things that I want to do is work on that and just work on reaching the community. That's one of the greatest things that's happened since I took the sash and the crown is talking to the community. At Leo's, I met all of you guys. I met, matter of fact, a group of, I want to say preteens. I'm not sure how old they were. And I'm not going to say their names because I don't even remember, but I was talking to the mom about my platform, and she goes, "Can you please talk to my daughter?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly what this is your moment. This is my moment." I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to be better than nationals. Sorry to say that, but, but it was just like, here's my chance to tell these girls everything that I wanted to be told at that age, because 60% of young females have an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. Okay.
Yeah.
It's something that, I'm sure men struggle with, or young boys struggle with mental health as well. But for a female in particular, we have a lot of social, balls coming at us,
My personal experiences with this were I coached 5th and 6th grade girls basketball for 20 years of my life.
God bless you.
Yeah. And
I remember a 5th and 6th grade girl.
I do not want to sound like a sexist pig. So please, I have found it's from a coach's standpoint, I could say to a boy, get your head out of your butt and get out there and do this. I can't talk to a girl like that. Yeah. Their self-esteem seems to be much lower than a boy. And again, I don't want to sound sexist. Please don't think I'm taking it this way. But I have a lot of experience with this. I had to really talk to my players, and I had to make them understand. And you know what? When it clicks, they light up like a light bulb.
Exactly.
They really do. Whereas a boy, it's get your head out of your butt and get out there, and they just like, whatever, dude. And then they just go out and do what they do anyway. So it's tough being a chick. Let's just face facts.
I'm not going to argue that one. I think it's tough being both because, for a boy or a man, you have expectations, and for a woman or a young lady, you have expectations, and those can be a lot of pressure, especially with now we have the internet. Yeah. Some of us who didn't used to have internet back in the day or cell phones, it's definitely become more in your face. Definitely more.
Heather Davenport joining us. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Go Liz.
Miss
I have a question.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as like hereditary?
Yes.
So like
great question.
Someone in your family, like it's happened to us. My godfather committed suicide, and this is probably 35 years ago, and the question still remains why. Nobody has any inkling as to why.
Correct.
I was married, had the house, had the job, had the kids. Looked like the great American family.
Yes.
Who
it can
knows?
happen to anybody.
But
literally.
is there a hereditary pattern that anybody sees? Like,
yes. Studies have found that about 30 to 32% of mental illnesses are genetically inherited.
Wow.
So, that's number one. Then on top of that, 1 in 4 adults are diagnosed with a mental illness, and 1 in 7 children between the ages of 3 and 17 are diagnosed with a mental illness.
Wow.
So you guys were talking about the crowd at the raceway that's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, there's
just
going to be
imagine
250,000 people there.
So 250,000 people, right? Out of those 250,000 people, 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 7 children between 3 and 17 are going to have a mental illness in that audience. So
it's
you got to try and like
roughly 25%.
Yeah, so,
That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and it can vary depending on demographics of your income.
Yeah.
75% of mental illnesses and suicides occur in countries that are low income.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something like, I have some other numbers here, but it's definitely something that affects low income people for sure because of the demographic.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't discriminate. I've heard of people who, have everything you can imagine and they still struggle with mental illness.
There was a thing my father told me many, many years ago. He said and I don't know if this is still true, but there's more CEOs that jump off the buildings.
Yeah.
And the suicide rate in the homeless community is virtually zero.
Yeah.
And if you'd think, here's the CEO that's making a couple $100,000 a year, $300,000 a year, has the cool house, has the cool cars, has
what
everything.
could they possibly be worried about,
it's
right?
The pressure. it's the pressure that people put onto themselves.
And like I said, that's a good example with the pageant girls. We look like we have it all, and some of us don't.
Yeah.
So
fake it till you make it, right?
Fake it till you make it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, one of the things that you were saying about the homeless people, when I was in Romania, because I did a missions trip over there.
Oh, wow.
For Believe in Motion Romania. Sorry.
No, that's my bad.
I was able to go over to that country and make gift baskets and Christmas baskets of toys. We gave out Christmas presents to the kids. We gave out socks, food, all kinds of stuff when we were over there with the group. These people live in a situation where, to me in the US, we have running water. Mm-hmm. Some of them had no running water. Yeah. They didn't have a bathroom. They had an outhouse. They had to wash in a bucket.
Wow.
And they have nothing else but the clothes on their back. There was an 80-year-old woman who was living up on the top of a mountain, and she trekked all the way down to the mountain to meet us and then all the way back and talk to us about, her life there as much as possible. There was a translator because the language is different. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I really took back from that was just being able to give back to those people that do have low income. I was one of those kids. I grew up, like I said, moving around a lot. We lived on Section 8, food stamps, no shame in it whatsoever.
It's what those programs are there for.
They're there, and they're there to help in need when you need it. But as a kid, you get bullied for that. You know what I mean? And that's where I think the self-esteem stuff started, was being bullied in school, for sure. Yeah. And that's one of the things that, I think is still prevalent today.
You carry those burdens for a long time when that happens.
Yes, a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, most of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't shake it.
Yeah, that's tough.
So
people are cruel.
People are cruel.
Especially, I think it got worse over the years.
I agree.
There's some even cyberbullying now. You don't even have to see the person.
Yeah,
and make fun of them and pick on them and whatever.
Because if I go up to Bear and I go to make fun of him, I want to bully him.
You do that a lot.
I do. He's gonna crush me.
Yeah.
Like he's just gonna he's bigger and stronger, and he's just gonna totally kick my butt.
Yeah.
But I can do this behind the keyboard. I could be a quarter mile away or 250 miles away and bully him through there. And I think that's what makes it easier online.
There's a fine line because we all want to have a sense of humor. I grew up what I call a handball, and I joke around, and I'm very personable and outgoing and whatnot. But I think there's a fine line when somebody tells you that it bothers them, and they don't always tell you. So, but if you're, one of the things I did was I did a training called QPR, which stands for question, persuade, and refer. And it's a way to kind of question people about mental health and suicide. And so they'll often say things, what they call trigger words. And you got to kind of have a safe language with people, I think, where you can still talk to them how you would talk to your friends, for sure. But you still have to kind of understand maybe what I'm saying might be taken the wrong way, and kind of pick up on those cues of, are they wincing? Are they moving in a certain way, body language and whatnot?
Are we more sensitive as a by the way, Pat Beeler says Joe bullies me too. So thanks for that, Pat. We appreciate you tuning in, buddy. Are we more sensitive today than what we were? It seems like that to me.
I hope we are. I hope we're a little bit more sensitive because one of the things that I think is the biggest stigma is not talking about it, stuffing it down. I hope we're more sensitive to the language of mental health, self-love, suicide prevention, and loss survivor support. No one realizes what somebody goes through, right? We don't know what's in their head. We don't know what they go through daily. Their life could look, beautiful on social media. It could look beautiful on paper. But, then they could be going home and something could be wrong at home. And not even necessarily in their household, but in their mind.
Yeah.
Think of your mind like a car, right? If something breaks, you have to fix it. So. Yeah,
it's what I have found in my experiences is that Facebook, I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. It's like a cesspool of humanity, but it's a very useful tool, like something like this right here.
Yes.
So the ones that portray the happy life, and they got
they're only going to see
they're
what
with
you
their
want
soulmate,
them to see.
and they have they're living their best life, are usually the ones that are struggling.
Yeah, they're usually the ones that are struggling the most, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because they have to put that facade out
and they're
there.
worried about what their family's going to think.
Yeah.
They're worried about what their friends are going to think. They feel like they're a burden if they talk out about it. So I definitely want that to change.
Yeah.
I think in our sport, we go to the races to forget a lot of things.
Yes.
And you get in your car afterward. That's 6-8 hour period. We're locked in.
Yeah.
You get in your car on the way home, and it's right back to reality.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Coping mechanisms are the number one thing I post
That's
about.
what I said. Coping
They're
mechanisms.
I heard you say that. You snuck that in there.
Could you move your mic up?
They're the number one. They're the number one thing I.
Bring it up.
Sorry.
That's good.
They're the number one thing I talk about on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, and my USOA Ms. Northeast Facebook and Instagram, because they provide us with the Instagram and Facebook for us to get our platforms out there.
Right.
It's one of the great things about the system. So we have the sisterhood, we have the platforms, we also have great directors that kind of guide us into, what we're supposed to be doing out in the community and things like that. Everything that we do requires, permission. So, if something is near and dear to our hearts, we can say, hey, I want to do this, how do I do it in a constructive way?
Right.
So, coping mechanisms are definitely the biggest. Pageantry has been a coping mechanism for me, believe it or not. When you come from a time in your life when you didn't feel like you were enough in life, especially because of bullying or because you just grew up with that feeling inside of you that, something feels different.
Yeah.
You try to find ways to figure that out. So you can figure that out with therapy. You can figure it out with coping mechanisms. Racing is a big one. That's kind of how I definitely went through that for a period of time. Not me personally racing, but I would take my kids to the racetrack when they were little, and it was just a great family bonding experience. And I have talked to many people who work on cars, race. My daughter and son work on their own cars, and they often will tell me, that they like to do it because it kind of lets them be distracted on something.
As Bear said, it's the distract
thing.
It's distraction.
Get away from reality for a minute.
Like you can go somewhere else besides where you are in your head.
I'm going to be devil's advocate
place
here because I'm curious about these coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Okay, so
there's a lot.
let's say I'm not a good person. Okay, and I'm not. So hypothetically, I'm married. I'm not, but let's just say hypothetically, I'm married, and I punch my wife in the face, and
that is not a good coping mechanism.
No. I didn't finish the story. I punch the wife in the face. I step on a dog. I kick the cat.
Yeah.
I'm just a horrible person, but I get in my race car, and this is my coping mechanism. I feel great. Is it like an alcoholic or a drug addict?
So,
Because there's a lot of people that are self-medicated now.
Yeah,
Does
they
the
are.
alcoholic or the drug addict, things are not going well. He just punched the wife in the face. He either turns to the bottle or he turns to the blow, the smoke or whatever. That's their coping mechanism. But as Bear had said, he goes to the racetrack for that 5, 6, 7, 8 hour period and everything's good. But you get back in the truck.
Yeah.
And life is...
And it
No,
starts
it
right
starts
back
right
over.
It
Yes.
is. It's a cycle. So I would say coping mechanism wise, you want it to be positive. You don't want it to be anything that's going to hurt anyone else
Right.
or hurt yourself.
Right.
Number one.
Right. Such as working on a car, reading a book,
Yes.
going to a racetrack,
Racing can, yes.
basketball, sport.
Now,
Yeah.
are some of those things a little dangerous? Sure. But, basketball can be dangerous. There's many things that could be.
Walking across the street for a
Walking
nail
the
could be
street,
dangerous.
Yes. So I think as long as it's something that doesn't hurt yourself or someone else, that's a good coping mechanism. And that can be anything that you find to be helpful to you. So reading, a lot of my friends will read books. I've read books. A lot of people will draw. I used to write poems and songs as a kid to deal with my feelings. Listening to music, playing an instrument, doing your podcast. This is a good coping mechanism to kind of get out some of the things that, might be on your mind or on your heart to tell people about.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to kind of transform your platform into the motorsports realm here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's take Brent, our guest that was on right before you. Here's a guy, he's got an awesome job, a way cool job. We
gosh.
totally agree with that, all of us.
I loved the racetrack. If I could be down at the racetrack with all those crazy people, and I don't mean crazy like,
Oh, they are.
since we're talking about mental health, let's get that straight. We need to get rid of that language. Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, he is operating at the top level.
Yes.
We were talking about the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm going into.
It's
Absolutely.
I have competition coming up this weekend, and I feel like I'm going into the Indianapolis. This pageant is going to be insane. The director and coordinators and our national director, Tanis, she literally said something on Facebook, because they give us updates all the time of everything that's going on, everything that we have to know, right? They're very, very good at telling us what we need to be prepared for.
Right.
And from what I gather, this is going to be the production that I've never been to a national pageant like this ever. I've never been in a scholarship style pageant before. There's different types. So, when you're looking into pageantry, there's ones for little kids. There's ones that are like really crazy. They call them glitz, where it's big hair, big makeup, crazy outfits. And then there's more like our style, which is what they call scholarship style, which is, very similar to Miss USA and Miss America. So there's many different types, and they're all on a scale from 1 to Z, So this particular production, is it's going to be live streamed on Pageants Live.
nice.
We're going to be live in Orlando Hotel in Las Vegas. We're going to be doing, I think it's 3 days of competition. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're also going to be doing an appearance at the Cowabunga Bay in Vegas, which is a water park there. They're one of the sponsors.
Cowabunga Bay. Cool name.
We have so many sponsors. I couldn't even name them all. We have hair and makeup artists. We have fashion designers from New York Fashion Week in Paris. We have even just local people that have their products out there that they're giving us as a sponsorship, we're going to get like this, they call it a swag bag. So not only am I going there to strap my stuff, but I'm going to come home with some goodies too. So that's
awesome sauce.
Awesome.
Extra.
So I just wanted to say thank you to all the national sponsors. You know who you are.
Corey Renninger's in the house. Hello. And Corey says he does race stuff or he lifts weights,
Exercise was a big one. That's still a big one.
It releases the endorphins. And that's where the endorphins, if you don't know, is the body's natural chemical to make you feel good.
Yes. So in our pageantry, we all exercise. We all go to the gym. We all practice. I practice at least 3 times a day. I do coaching lessons at least, a few times a week, if not once a week. Some of the girls do them 5 times a week. Some of the girls are practicing from the time they wake up till the time they go to sleep. It's crazy. It's like their full-time job. It is a job.
Do you have the wave? There you go.
So it's not just standing here and looking pretty. We are practicing. We're working on our platforms. We're going out in the community and we're doing community events, telling people about our platforms. It's definitely something that was unexpected surprise of how hard you have to work to do this. But it's also the biggest reward I've ever had in my life. I don't think I would have ever experienced some of the things I've experienced in life if it had not been for my local title as Ms. Lehigh Valley and then now my regional title as Miss Northeast.
What do you do when you're standing out there in front of either 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 people? And
we'll find out.
Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Not every day a girl feels pretty.
Yes.
Some days that rogue zit just shows up unexpectedly. How do you keep your mind focused and just get past that kind of stuff? Because all eyes are on you.
It is.
So,
and this is going to be, like I said, live stream.
This is what I'm here for. We're actually prepping you for your upcoming weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Drilling.
So one of the things I've really decided to do is accept the fact that I am the way I am. I have stretch marks. I have a scar on my leg from my surgery.
Own it, girl.
I have multiple things that are flaws, if you will. Okay. Everyone has a flaw.
We're all flawed.
But I think one of the things I'm really excited to do is just show everybody that even, your size, your age, your weight, whatever it is, you can get out there and do what you want to do. You have nothing holding you back but yourself.
True.
There's nothing holding you back but your own mind and your own fears.
The biggest obstacle you are ever
is yourself.
You're ever gonna encounter in your life is the person looking back at you in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
So you go out and you win this contest.
That's the hope.
And where do you go from there? Like what are these levels? Is there an international deal or is it all in the US?
You could go international if you decide to go international. I feel
I'm going to personally.
Let's do it.
You got my vote.
Thanks, buddy.
So one of the things, if I do become USOA Ms., is I want to start a Little Sisters program that's similar to Miss America, Miss USA, because like I explained earlier, I have a big passion for young kids. I have kids of my own. I was talking to the young girls at the car show. I really want to be that mentor to the young community to realize that mental health is important.
Yeah. So this is cool. So how do you get this going? How do you start a pageant?
Well, that's a good question for the directors. I'm hoping maybe I'll learn how to start a pageant because of what I want to accomplish with them. But I think you can get started into pageantry by finding a local competition that fits what you want to do, or even if you want to break out of your comfort zone.
Right.
So if you're somebody who's normally shy and doesn't talk to people very much, you could go with a system that's a little bit more subdued, or you can say, hey, you know what? I want to do something crazy or different and go with a system that's a little bit more elaborate and really break out of your shell.
Right.
That's kind of what happened to me. I started in a system that was different from USOA, and I liked the creative side of it. It was more routines and, like I said, sparkle and pizzazz and all this, extra. You were extra.
Yeah.
But the thing I've loved about USOA is the philanthropy, like reaching out to the community, doing volunteer work, talking to people, getting that one-on-one time with people. That to me has been just the most amazing feeling, not just for yourself, but for some of the people that you talk to.
You can feel it spreading.
Yeah.
You just spreading the joy.
Yeah.
That's
what
pretty
we
cool.
try to do.
We try to spread. We don't usually spread joy.
We try to
think we do.
promote racing in a positive way.
Yes.
So theoretically,
We
we try to do the same thing.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, Bear.
I know. That's why I brought it up.
That's why you do what you do.
Yeah, I mean, just like racing has a stigmatism to it, right? Everyone's
Sure.
like, "Oh my gosh, it's dangerous. Oh my gosh, it's just a bunch of cars going around the track in a circle, right?"
Yeah.
But one of the things I learned through my experience in life, being around the racetrack, I've family members that race. I actually drag raced one time in my life.
Hey now,
And
on the way here.
yes, I heard that story.
if you ask any of my friends about my driving history, they will plead the fifth.
Oh boy, let's not go there.
No, but I did drag race once in a Ford Excursion, and I got a 17.3, and I beat
In an excursion.
Yeah,
That's a
and
very large.
It's a very large.
That's a lot
Listen,
of.
I'm a
vehicle.
5'1" girl, and I used to drive the biggest trucks when I was married, and it was so much fun. But
Going to the track.
yeah, and then my kid, like
awesome.
I said, go to the. But it is. They teach you so many things, right? They teach you safety, how to do it in a safe manner.
Right.
They teach you how to work on you learn how to work, maybe not teach you, but you learn how to work on your own stuff. So it's, being productive with something. And then they also teach you, reaching out to the community. One of the things that I used to do with my kids was something we called dyno days, which was, putting the car on the dynometer and running to see the horsepower.
See what you got.
Little tiny bit. Okay. But yeah, they loved it, and they loved the smell of exhaust fumes.
That's awesome. That's good.
I think
That's good.
It was like
parenting.
exhaust fumes on one end and hairspray on the other with the PADGENTs now.
Good
So
parenting.
Nice. What a balancing act.
great, yeah. So but they really loved it, and they've always grown up with it. Like I said, they work on their own stuff, and they have an appreciation for vehicles. It's not just something that just sits there. Like they really kind of put their heart and soul into it.
Awesome.
And then they make it this thing they really love, and then they put it out there for everybody to enjoy, right? Everybody enjoys like the thrill of racing the car.
Right.
That's kind of like how pageantry is, okay? So we're putting our heart and soul into getting our outfits ready. We're putting our heart and soul into getting our platforms ready. And then we're putting it on that stage for everybody to see, and kind of just take it. And yes, are we subjective to judging? Of course, that's part of the package, and it's intimidating. But one of the things I think I have learned personally is it's okay to be judged.
Everybody gets judged every day in
Everybody
some
gets
capacity.
you judge yourself,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes that can be a strengthener. One of our mottos is empower, inspire, and uplift. So you can empower yourself in a way that takes something that maybe might not be positive for you, something negative, and you can turn it into something positive. That's been my whole message this whole time.
Right.
Especially with what happened with my mom through my platform, My Never Matters Inc. And then just with my pageantry, I think one of the things I'm hoping to show is, I might not be the top contender, but I'm going to put my heart and soul out there, and I'm just going to go for it because I didn't even think I would make it this far.
Right.
I have the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm just going to...
You're seizing it.
I'm going to just jump out there and really just...
That is...
Hey,
Go for
if
it.
you don't give it your all and everything you've prepared for, you're not going to win.
No,
It's true.
exactly.
You can only
Yeah.
be the best that you can be.
Yeah. And I think that's really my ultimate goal out of this whole competition that's going to happen. It's 3 days. There's prelims first, and then we go to a final. So if for some reason I don't make it past prelims into the final, I have a plan in place. And then if I do make it to finals, I have a plan in place for that. And then if I win, I have the plan in place with USOA that I have in my head of expanding the platform.
When you win.
When I win. I never want to get too arrogant.
You got to manifest that though.
Yes, everyone says manifest, and I agree with that to a degree. But I also think, for me personally, I want to stay humble.
Absolutely.
One of the things I really strive for is, you know, as I think Brent was saying with the top contenders that he met, you know, these people are idolized, right? Mm-hmm. But yet they're still a normal person. I don't want to ever get to that point where I just think I have it all and I'm never going to be, you know, any better. I always want to be striving to be better than yesterday, because I know what I'm learning from yesterday, I'm bringing into tomorrow. So
that's true. That's a very good point. Very well said. Very well said. You have anything else, Barry?
I'm blown away here.
Yeah, it's
taking
amazing.
notes, trying to keep up.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
I want to definitely follow along this weekend and see how you do.
Yeah, please keep us informed.
So you can follow along through Pageants Live, and you can follow along through our website, which is the www.unitedstatesofamericapageants.com. You can go to that website. They have a link that you can actually buy tickets and come to Vegas if you want.
Oh, we might do that too.
Maybe.
Possibly.
But yeah, if you can't make it to Vegas in person, the next best thing is live streaming it. And we are getting that information, I believe, tonight or tomorrow, because we have to post it on our Facebook.
Beautiful.
But it's Pageants Live is where they're going to air it. And I think it's like $32.99 for the membership. It's not a lot of money. You can get the membership, watch it, and then, you know, keep watching pageants if you want to.
Right. That's awesome.
You can watch every pageant that they have underneath the sun. They have locals, nationals, just, you know, they'll show you every category that's there. We do a swim category. We do a gown category. Those are the two top scored events. And then we're going to have a patriotic event. I'm a big supporter of the United States of America, not only as the pageant system, but as the country.
Right.
Big patriot. And then they have a talent competition, which I did enter. That was an optional competition. I'm doing a traditional Romani Dabki, which is a stomp dance, and that changes into a belly dance.
Whoa. We should belly dance, Bear.
We should. Listen, I'll teach you a few moves.
Wow. I'm ready for that.
Get my half shirt going.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
What are your socials? How can people reach out to you if they want to follow you and see what's going on?
So my Facebook, my personal Facebook is my name, which is Elizabeth M. Thoma. I think it's
Thoma.
Thoma. There's no S. Everybody tries to tack it on.
Oh,
Thomas.
Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, don't do it.
You can follow me at USOA Ms. Northeast on both Instagram and Facebook. And then you can also follow my nonprofit, which is called Mind Over Matters, Inc. Mom. And my website is mindovermatters.net.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
This, Mike Esterly, welcome.
And follow the pageant. Go to the pageants.com, USOA Pageants. On Facebook and Instagram.
There's obviously, you know, as she explains everything, there's a lot going on with USOA.
Yes.
There's a lot of things going on. Just unbelievable.
It's going to be
Stupid
so
question
exciting.
just came into my head. So this has all been talk about women.
Yes.
Is there a guys portion? Is there like a Mr.
Not in this competition. However,
I'm done.
You know what? Maybe I can approach Tanis about that. We could do a men's USOA. Can we do that? Tanis? She's gonna be like, don't even
go
come
there.
I'll be getting hate mail.
Yeah, this is
Listen, from like I said, this is gonna be an experience of a lifetime, and I just want to enjoy it. I want to go out there,
awesome.
and do my best,
Absolutely.
and
That is so.
maybe come home with a new crown.
Yeah. Are your kids super proud of you, or is it just like, oh, mom, please?
So they were a little embarrassed of me. Still, we went to Florida and we did a Cars and Coffee. We have them here in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And somebody told me about it, and I said, I have to take the kids because they have this back in Pennsylvania. They're going to love it. And they had Lamborghinis and Bentleys and you name it. And some big Instagrammer that was there, I think I forget.
Is that Dennis?
Starts with a S, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
He's obviously not big enough for me to.
Yeah.
My kids know who he is. But, anyway, so they had like all the community there, and they had tons of cars, and it was just really cool to kind of have that bonding moment with them again, because you know, we don't have that as much anymore as when they were little. But yeah, it was just great.
That's cool. That is great stuff. Did you have fun here tonight?
Yes.
Were you nervous?
A little bit at first. I was shaking a little bit, and I'm like, "Come on, get it together."
No, it's all good. It has been an absolute
good practice. You guys are giving me like such good questions to think about.
See,
and
we're drilling.
I'm like,
here.
I've even brought notes because I was like, let's see whatever
you
they
didn't get them
ask.
out. You didn't even get them out at once. That's
I didn't.
Good.
Well, the only thing I would add is there's a national crisis hotline called pound 980. If no one is aware of that,
pound 980.
Yeah, it's like the hashtag hash mark
pound 980.
It's a national crisis hotline for suicide prevention. So
you just hit pound 980. You will get connected with someone on the other end. If you're struggling,
you can talk to somebody on the phone
24/7.
24/7.
You say pound 988 or 80?
988.
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So that's the national crisis hotline. There's, like I said, the NAMI.org website.
Mm-hmm.
You want resources for any type of mental illness, you can go there. I use them quite a bit as my resource because I'm not a professional. I don't have a degree. I have been getting education with QPR.
Right.
I did suicide prevention training for the Suicide Prevention Task Force with my local county in Montgomery County through my mayor. He suggested it to me because his wife has a platform for mental health, illness, and suicide prevention.
Excuse me. I think the biggest thing that I personally learned here tonight was, and I'm going to look right into the camera when I say this, if you're struggling, trust me, you are not alone. There's always somebody out there willing to listen to you. Call a friend, call these hotlines. This is what people are here for.
Don't be ashamed.
Don't be ashamed. Don't be
scared. Don't let the fear overrule.
Exactly.
Like common sense. Like your brain, mental health is exactly the same as every other health. Just you go to a doctor for, like I said, your blood pressure or your diabetes, or even just your yearly checkup.
Yeah.
You want to be talking to a doctor about your mental health as well, because every single day we go through struggles, whether they're little, medium, or big, right?
They're usually all uphill though.
Yeah. So even just the littlest things that you need to talk about, like your emotions. Not a lot of people are able to emotionally regulate, especially if you come from a household where you grew up in trauma or just didn't have a good support system.
What if you're not a good communicator? Okay, we talked about men not really expressing themselves. What if you just suck at communicating? Because not everybody can convey how they feel.
So like I said, there are many different therapies. You can actually find resources. I don't have any per se off the top of my head that specifically target people who can't communicate well, whether it's a language barrier or maybe they just can't communicate. Nonverbal. There are probably resources on the NAMI.org because a lot of people do suffer with like ADHD, autism, Down syndrome, just anything that could be considered a special type of development. And it's just your brain is just thinking a different way, right? So
it's just
you just need to communicate a different way. So sometimes I think a good example of this is if you've ever seen a kid, and this is a bad example, but a kid that's been abused or had something bad happen to them, therapists will often have them draw or have them play with toys or have them act out something with like a teddy bear or something like that. That can be for adults too. You know what I mean? I don't think it's ever going to end. You just have to figure out where those resources are. So the first step is acknowledging that you need to talk to somebody and do it. Number one. And then finding those resources to do it with, to empower yourself, inspire yourself, and uplift yourself to make that change for yourself. And then, things will start coming to you. Once you start finding one thing, it's going to snowball from there. It does, because that's what happened to me. The very first thing I looked up was anxiety and depression. What are the symptoms, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I have all that symptoms, all that.
Check all those boxes.
Check it all off, right? And I went to my doctor and I said, you know, I'm very hesitant about talking about this because, you know, everything that goes into the biggest number one thing is everyone is scared to talk to their doctor because it goes into your medical records, right? That's a big fear for a lot of people, that it's going to go into your medical records and it's going to affect your health insurance and things like that, right? Not a lot of people realize that, but you know, you can't be afraid of that. You have to be able to get the help that you need in order to make the changes that you need to make in your life to make it better for yourself. Right. Because you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to hurt every single day. You don't have to self-medicate with drugs and alcohol and things that are going to hurt yourself or other people. You don't have to do all those things. You have the choice to change for yourself and then hopefully help other people change lives and save lives in the process.
You are freaking spectacular. You are absolutely awesome.
I've been working hard on this. Really, I never thought I would ever be sitting here with you guys for sure. But I love it. Thank you.
The backstory at Leo's, Elizabeth looked at me. She's like, I said, this podcast, this is so awesome. What does it take to get onto the show? I said, all you got to do is ask. And she's like,
I did. And I did. That was one of the biggest struggles. I don't know how much time we have left, but I never used to ask for anything because I always felt like if I ask, I'm going to get rejected, right?
Yeah.
It's a big fear of rejection. No. But if you don't ask, it's an automatic no.
It's always going to be no.
It's always going to be a no. So the worst thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to say no and somebody's going to say yes.
This is why.
Where do you want to throw the coin?
This is why I never ask Bear if he loves me.
Right.
Because the answer is always going to be no.
I love both of you for having me.
I go out looking for sponsorships all the time.
Yeah.
And I am not afraid to hear no.
Yeah, I think I'm going to see if I can get your Inferno Armor people to sponsor me because this competition is going to be hot.
Well
Kevin
played.
Thomas Jr., are you listening?
Very well played. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to say this again because I absolutely love it. It is Mind Over Matters. Mom, don't forget about that. Be the chance. Be the change that you want to see in the world, and that's true for each and every one of us here.
Don't forget to look up USOA.
Yes, look for Elizabeth's socials. Follow her. Wish her all the best. We wish you all the best. We hope you kick some butt this weekend.
Yeah.
And again, keep us informed. Let us know what's going on. So thank you so much for being here. Do you want to wrap up with some the people that help us?
Yes, sir.
Please.
So, like we say every week, this is not possible without the following sponsors that help us out: Smith Fabrications, Laney Lick Racing, Pioneer Pole Building, Inferno Armor, Sublimited Racewear, Aqueduct Water Transport, Roy Danner Paving, Weichel Sportswear, CTC Construction, Haddesty's Ace Hardware, VersaLift East, Timmy Shock Lab, and Roselli Racing. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much to all those people. And please support those that support us because it's very, very important.
And good luck to Takuma Sato and Marco Andretti, who our local guys are spotting for.
Yes, so awesome. It was great to have Brent on. It was so awesome to hear his story and the cool job that he has.
Very cool.
Elizabeth, thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you coming in studio. So I guess that's going to wrap it up for us right now. And from all of us here at Lowdown Entertainment, we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for being in the live chat as always. It always makes the show much, much more entertaining. So from all of us here, we're going to say good night and God bless.
Thank you.